So, my dear friends, welcome again to today's satsang on forgiveness. And to start with, let me ask your forgiveness today because there is a construction going on in the background in my neighborhood. So, if you hear any background noises, kindly ignore them and forgive me for those. Okay, and so to begin with, I will begin with a Jain prayer and I will describe how various saints and religions talk about forgiveness. So the Jain prayer says, and this is true for all of us, let this satsang be a personal guide to us individually in our lives. I ask pardon of all creatures. May all creatures pardon me. May I have friendship with all beings and enmity with none. The Baha'i faith says, love the creatures for the sake of God and not for themselves. You will never become angry or impatient if you love them for the sake of God. Humanity is not perfect. There are imperfections in every human being, and you will always become unhappy if you look toward people themselves. But if you look toward God, you will love them and be kind to them. For the world of God is the world of perfection and of complete mercy. Therefore, do not look at the shortcomings of anybody. See with the sight of forgiveness. The sage Vedvyasa, he has said, and I'll say in Hindi first and then I'll translate in English. He says, क्षमा तेजस्वी पुरुषों का तेज है, तपस्वियों का तप है और सत्यवादी पुरुषों का सत्य है. Meaning, forgiveness is the light of the sage, it is the fire of the ascetic, and it is the truth of the truthful. Mahatma Gandhi said, कमजोर कभी क्षमा नहीं कर सकता, क्षमा सशक्त व्यक्ति का गुण है. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is a quality or a virtue of the strong. Sant Kabir said, शील क्षमा जब उपजे, अखल दृष्टि तब होए. Meaning, when good character rises, when moral value rises, and when forgiveness rises in you, only then you will have the vision of the Paramatman, the unobstructed vision of that one truth that pervades the entire universe. So you see, the forgiveness has been talked about in all religions, and we'll come back to this again. And I'm reminded of another doha by Sant Kabir Das. All those who have studied Hindi till class 8, and even if not, I'm sure you've heard of Kabir. And this is a simple doha we used to read. It says, बुरा जो देखन मैं चला, बुरा न मिलया कोई, जो dil dekha apna, mujhse bura na koi. Meaning, I went around the world, I was looking for faults in others and I was looking for bad people. But when I looked inside in my own heart, I found that my own heart was dirty enough. So here we are on earth. We are all works in progress. We all make mistakes. We all err. And therefore, why is it so difficult? We must ask this question to ourselves that when we make a mistake, we quickly forgive ourselves. But when someone else makes a mistake, we make such a hue and cry out of it. So this is something that you must introspect. And Yogananda ji said, just as easily as you forgive yourselves, you must forgive others. It's very important. Now, forgiveness has two components. One is that I have done something wrong to somebody, maybe intentionally, unintentionally, knowingly, unknowingly, and I need to ask for forgiveness. The other aspect is that someone has hurt me and I need to forgive that person. So both these aspects of forgiveness are important, and we'll talk about them today. And I did the Lord's Prayer in the beginning because forgive me for my sins as I forgive those who sin against us is the line in the Lord's Prayer. So when somebody asked Jesus to tell what is the right prayer, he included this line in his prayer. Such is the importance of forgiveness. Now his disciple Peter, who was very close to him, he asked Jesus once and he said, if my brother sins against me, how many times should I forgive? He said 7. Jesus said no. not 7. I say 70 times 7. Now, this is a very difficult counsel. And in fact, Paramhansa Yogananda ji said that I pondered upon this counsel, I meditated upon this counsel because it appears very difficult. And he said, in my meditation, I heard a voice say to me, how many times, O man, do I forgive you daily? So this is the case with us. God is so merciful. He is so compassionate. We keep making mistakes and he keeps forgiving us. We may remember our mistakes, we may not remember our mistakes, but that is besides the point. But it's the fact that human life and human consciousness has imperfections and it is bound to err. But God, in his kindness, as a parent, he keeps forgiving us. Now, both the acts of asking forgiveness and giving forgiveness, they are pleasing to God. Why should they be pleasing to God? Because they make us humble. In either case, we transcend the ego to some extent. We reduce our own self-importance and the sense of separateness. We go more towards the ocean of existence rather than our separate existence. And any time and every time we are able to transcend the ego and merge with the ocean of existence, that means we are merging with the ocean of God, and this pleases God because this means that the child is returning home in God. So let us handle the first case scenario, as in that I have made a mistake and I need to ask for forgiveness. How should I go about this? And I want you to individualize this process in you and think of a person you have offended in some way and you want to ask for forgiveness, even though on the outside you're finding it a little difficult to ask for forgiveness. So the first and foremost thing that you can do is invite God in the process. Although God knows all your actions, all your thoughts, and all your emotions, yet if you consciously invite Him to participate in your life, He is more than happy to do that. Just like a parent is happy when the child, even in trouble, asks and seeks counsel from the parent is more than happy to help. Similarly, when we are in a difficult situation and we seek God's help, He is more than happy to be with us and to guide us. So invite Him, tell Him, discuss the entire situation with Him mentally, and ask Him for guidance as to how can I go about this process of asking for forgiveness. And the second step obviously would come to that it's not just sufficient to ask forgiveness from God, we have to ask forgiveness from man itself. Because in one of the verses in the Bible, Christ has said, He said that if you stand before the altar and pray, but before you bring a gift to the altar and you have some issue to resolve with your brother, go and resolve that issue with your brother, forgive your brother, and then come and offer prayer at the altar. So it is important that we do seek forgiveness from the other person. If it is possible to speak it out or to write it to that person, well and good. If somehow it is not possible to directly say it, then you can even write it on a paper. You can put out all your feelings. It's like writing a letter to that person and share it with God, and in spirit ask for forgiveness. That also works. But if it is possible and you can directly speak face to face with that person and humbly ask for forgiveness, that I may have wronged you, I may have hurt you, I did not do it intentionally, can you please forgive me? And then you can be friends from there on. Now there are certain hitches here. So once you ask for forgiveness, the important thing is that you do not justify your actions as you are asking for forgiveness, because you want to make the process easy, you want to make it short, you want to make it sweet, and you want friendliness to arise out of the situation. Therefore, if you keep justifying your situation, then that a little bitterness will still stay. So without justifying your actions and just for the fact that the other person has been hurt, simply ask for forgiveness without any justification. Then once you've asked for forgiveness, then you have to give the other person time to come to the virtue of forgiveness. It is not easy. And therefore, you do your part. And whether the other person forgives you or not is up to their prerogative, not up to you. But at least the burden will be let out from your heart. So give them time. And even as time is being taken in this process, you continue to be kind, empathetic, and compassionate to this other person. And then finally, the most important thing is that whatever mistake you committed with this person, do not repeat that mistake. Now, that is the true apology. So, true apology is not in just not saying sorry. True apology is not repeating the error again. And so, therefore, learn your lesson from the whole process and then grow into another level, and then let the other person decide what he or she wants to do with the loving forgiveness energy that you have asked of him. That is up to him or her. Now let's come to the other side, where we need to forgive other people. We need to let out feelings of resentment, and we are holding on to grudges. So let us first understand, why do we hold on to grudges? The common cause of holding on to grudges is that we expect certain things from the universe. We want certain people to behave in certain ways, and they do not meet our expectations. The second cause is that we feel that we are misunderstood, our intentions were misunderstood, what we did, we were trying to do out of friendliness and love, but it was not taken in the right spirit, and therefore there is some conflict, and I hold on to that grudge. The other level of holding grudge is that I think that in a particular situation, I am right and the other person is wrong. So mostly all of this, it's getting that energy gets stuck in my heart. And also sometimes I feel that the other person has wronged me, the other person owes me an apology and is not apologizing. So therefore, this negative energy is in my heart. Now, the problem with all these holding on grudges is they are all based on a false foundation. They have no solid foundation. Why do I say that? When I say that we are expecting from others, from the universe never said to you that you must expect from me. It was your own fallacious, thought, that you thought that I must expect something back from the universe. So when I say the universe includes all people, all situations, and all things. So your expectation from the universe, who taught you that? No scripture says you must expect anything back. In fact, the scriptures say, do your action and leave the fruits of action away, separate them. So if you are expecting, then it is, in fact, it's our fault that we do that. The other thing, when we said that, we feel we are misunderstood. Now, the world was not supposed to understand us. Only God is supposed to understand us. That is the truth. And there is this beautiful prayer, that St. Francis wrote about. He said, "O Master, grant that I may never seek to be consoled as much as to console, to be loved as to love, and to be understood as to understand." So meaning that you're praying to God that, God, may I never seek to be consoled, but rather I should console others. May I never seek to be understood, but rather I may understand others. May I not seek to be loved, but rather I may love others. So it's because we are seeing this equation from the wrong end, and therefore we are collecting grudges. And again, we expect people to apologize even when they don't even realize they have made a mistake, and we are just waiting and expecting, and we are holding on to these grudges inside of us. Now, what happens when we hold these grudges inside of us? So suppose somebody has not met our expectation, and somebody has said something which is bad or done something. So firstly, sadness and anger, they will arise together. Sadness, anger together will lead to the confusion of the mind. So all these three things will cause, and the more you will dwell on the thoughts of what wrong the other person has done to you, the more these feelings will become engraved. And there will be so much bitterness in yourself, and you yourself will be swallowed up in that bitterness. And so much so that in the long run, if you keep dwelling on those thoughts, it will affect your daily life, your social life. Because having kept those hurt feelings and those negative feelings and the bitterness, the anger and the hurt in your heart, you will not be able to connect beautifully to other souls that come into your life. You will always keep a distance, or you will always, have that defense mechanism working around you. And when we come to spirituality, we need to shed all defense mechanisms, because we speak from the truth and sincerity of our own hearts. So if you keep on holding those grudges, you will never have beautiful, harmonious relationship with others. Besides that, your happiness will go, your peace will go. Somewhere, you might get depressed. You might feel, what is the purpose of this life? Because we are not mechanical robots come here to do our jobs and, just sleep and go off. We are here to make connections. We are here to love. We are here to enjoy the bliss of beautiful company. And if that is hampered, then truly our life gets hampered. So we see, we do not want to get swallowed in this bitter net. We do not want these grudges to poison our system. Just for a simple common example, a husband and wife go through a divorce, and the husband tends to move on, and he has his nice career to go on, and maybe he finds another friendly, nice partner and companion, he gets married again. But the lady is she's just involved and engrossed in thinking over what happened, why it happened, how much she has been hurt, and how she is a victim, and how everything is so difficult. And she is all, burning up her own self with these emotions. The other person doesn't even know and is not even concerned. And why should he be? So all this while, when we are getting angry and hurt and, burning in ourself, we are only hurting ourselves. We think that the other person may even, die because of our grief and anger. That doesn't happen. He's not affected. He or she is not affected. Who is affected? We are dying inside. And therefore, we need to resurrect ourselves. We need to live in freedom. And that is why this is a very, very urgent process that requires to be done. We need to come to forgiveness. If we want to breathe easy, if we want to live life to the fullest, if we want to be able to love and be happy all the time, we have to come to forgiveness. And forgiveness is that giving up of all resentments, all hurt, all sense of vengeance to all others. It is a determination to, when you say that I will not let my past control my present and my future. It takes time. It's a whole process. Don't think it will happen overnight. So again, if you are forgiving somebody, please take your time to do so. Know that you have to, first step would be to acknowledge that I am in trouble because of this process, because I'm holding on to so much hurt and anger. I am suffering because of it. Once you acknowledge the unpleasantness of the situation created by your own thoughts and emotion, you would want to get free. And the rest of the process begins only when you really, really want to get free and be, rise above the situation. So then again, you have to shift from victim consciousness to being free. So till now, you have been feeling that you are a victim of circumstance, you are a victim of so-and-so people, and they have abused you, they have tortured you, they have done bad to you, and so on and so on. This is a prison that you have created in your own mind. The universe cares not. And if you have imprisoned yourself in your own thoughts and emotions, then who will set yourself free? You yourself will set yourself free from this victim consciousness. You have to do the hard work. And it does not become very hard because God is always there. So the first step will always remain to invoke help from God. Send an SOS call to God. God, please save my soul. I am suffering. I'm in trouble. I'm in pain. My heart is hurting. This is the situation. This is how I feel. This is how I think. But now I am sick of this. And I want to be free. I want to give it all up. I want to let go. I want to flow like a easy river going into the ocean. I don't want to hold on to the twigs and the stones and the sand that is flowing with me. I want to feel free. So that is the first step. You invite God. And then, of course, comes the hard work as well. So if another angle to this is that if in a particular situation you practice empathy and you feel that what in this particular situation, if you analyze what is the other person's stand and what would be the outlook of the other person towards this situation, that if you're empathetic and compassionate, you will understand to an extent why they behaved the way they behaved. And sometimes that other person is already so hurt. They have had childhood traumas. They've had difficult adulthoods. They have difficult financial status. They have no friends. And that is why their behavior basically reflects their own past. And they can't help it. But you have to be that person who can understand. And you should always remember that so many times we have made mistakes and there have been others who have become the bigger person and have forgiven us so many times. Our friends, our relatives, our parents, our spouses, so many times. So let us acknowledge that we have also been forgiven so many times, and therefore let me be the bigger person. Actually, not the bigger, you actually become the same person. We have to come to that oneness of every being. But just to say, no, just so be that person who can forgive easily, understanding that the other person is coming from his own difficult present or past and a complexity of human emotions. So once you start to analyze and understand the picture from all the angles, you will find that it becomes easier for you to forgive. And also we must remember, as Yogananda ji said, when God says, how many times, O man, do I forgive you? And then there's certain advice that Jesus Christ has given in the Bible, and let me bring in. So what are we going to do? Now we have this situation, we want to forgive, we have invited God, we are trying to understand the situation, and we are trying to forgive. So what do we do? Jesus Christ says, he says, pray for your enemies. So when we say pray for your enemies, we are not saying that, everything should be well with them, everything should be right with them. We are just praying that in their journey towards God, may they be able to see the truth. The second thing that we have to do is what Christ says is bless your enemies. Bless your enemies because they are just like yourself. The same things in life give them happiness as they give you happiness. They undergo through the same tragedies and comedies. They are living in the imperfect human flesh just as we are. And they are different. Life is a difficult life. Everybody is having some suffering, some trouble. Try and understand that yes, they may also be going through some difficulty. And we are all seeking the same happiness in God. Therefore, the other person, however, erring that person is just like me, another human child of God. Therefore, bless your enemies. So enemies are not enemies actually. They are supposed enemies. We think of them as enemies. And thirdly, Jesus says beautifully, he says, thank your enemies. So why should we thank our enemies? Because if you now look back in your life in situations where certain people did something wrong to you, so they came in your life at the perfect time, at the perfect situation to teach you some very, very important lesson in your life. And unless they had come at that point, you would have never raised your energy to a point where you understood more, where you became stronger and you became freer. It is because of the presence of such people in our life that we develop certain level of detachment and dispassion from this world. We come to realize that this world is made up of suffering and this is not our home. It is because of the pain that we receive from such people who are agents of God, who tell us that this place is not your final resting place. Dispassionation, you should be dispassionate. No, unentangle yourself. And they make you realize that human behavior is ever unreliable, and the only reliability lies when we seek God. So therefore, we must thank those people because they come perfectly in God's divine plan. They come perfectly at the right moment in your life. And finally, we trust the flow of this, of forgiveness, because God is a quality of God of forgiveness. So when we align ourselves with forgiveness, we align ourselves with God, and then you feel that a power is flowing through you. And it is that power. So never be proud if you're able to forgive anybody, because complete forgiveness and complete setting your heart free comes only and only by the grace of God. So know that God is the doer. It is God who came as that person into your life for certain reasons. And it is God now whose power is helping you to let go of all these difficult resentments and hurt feelings and anger and so on. And therefore, just drop it. Just let it go. And then let's understand what will happen. Now, if I forgive, what is going to happen? Now, forgiveness brings instant peace to our heart. Instant peace, a peace that is not fathomable, a peace that cannot be understood by the intellect, but it lightens our hearts so much that it gives us that peaceful feeling. And that peaceful feeling also frees us a lot of energy and our time and our attention is consumed by those thoughts and emotions. So once we let go and forgive, we find we suddenly have more time, energy, and attention, so which we can use to create a better present and a better future. And also, forgiveness brings you to this present moment. It cuts out the past from you on which you were dwelling. You were wasting so much of your being on your past. So, forgiveness will bring you into the present. And in the present, you can make a beautiful garden that will blossom in the future automatically. Now, also, what forgiveness does is it will open your heart. Because as you are trying to be compassionate with the other person, as you are inviting God into your heart, and as you are allowing that energy to flow to the other person, your heart will open. And when the heart opens, the natural love which is already present in the heart will come forth, and this will cause your spiritual evolution. Because as Sri Yukteswarji said, that not even a single step can be taken on the spiritual path without the natural love of the heart. So forgiveness will cause the blossoming of the natural love of the heart. Now, forgiveness is also in favor of, it makes your karma favorable. So what do I mean by that? So if you are, stuck on non-forgiving, if you don't forgive people, then you will find situations in which people will not forgive you. That is the other one side. The other side is that if you do forgive and let go of this energy, then you yourself would have raised your level of energy and consciousness to a point where you would start attracting positive, happy, loving people into your life, and your life will move on to the next level. And here, your past karma will also be mitigated because you have elevated yourself to a higher energy. Another important thing that happens with forgiveness is that you set a beautiful example for others. This is especially true if you are a parent and you have to set an example for your children. Suppose you have some enmity or difficulty with your relatives and you forgive them and you let them go. Your children quietly watch the process and they will imbibe this forgiveness and they will see that how difficult emotions can be forgotten and one can move on in life. Same thing, if you are in office and if you are the boss, if you are the senior, then you have to act in a way which the other people can learn from. So by forgiveness, you set examples. And two other important things happen with forgiveness. You gain health and happiness. Because you're not engaged in negative emotions, because now positive endorphins start to secrete in your body, you have better neurotransmitters, a better hormonal profile, you have a better prana flowing in your astral body. So your health is going to improve and the level of your happiness is going to improve. And we all want happiness and peace. And therefore, if we want happiness and peace, we must forgive. It is imperative. And that is why in Hindi they say, Shamadan Mahadan, means the giving of forgiveness is the highest type of giving. And let us try and give it as a gift to those, especially to those who we find it difficult to give. Now, an important question arises here about karma, that if I forgive others, do they not have to face the consequences of their actions? It is not so. So basically what you're doing is, when you let go, is you are just stopping to add the karmic burden of yourself and the others because of your negative emotions. And also because you are allowing the energy of love to flow through you, and love is power. It will release you, it will heal you, and also it will bless the other person and mitigate his karmic effects. So the loving energy that you send to the other person will add to his armor, whatever that is, and that will help to reduce the karmic burden that will befall on him. And he is our own brother and sister, and we must all bless him. An important point that comes here is about reconciliation. If we are forgiving, is it also important that we reconcile with that person? So sometimes this is possible and sometimes this is not possible. So if the person has already died, or if the person is not willing to come back to friendly terms, just forgiveness is sufficient because you have freed yourself. But at other times, you can go for reconciliation if that relationship is important to you. And if you don't want to lose a good friend, then you must, reconcile with that person. And especially, I would say, if you're married, I think all husbands and wives, all spouses have to go into the process of forgiveness and reconciliation. So forgiveness is a science and reconciliation is an art, I think, and husbands and wives must learn it. I think we can have a separate class on that. And so we can open up a school on this, because I think so many times we have to ask for forgiveness, we have to give forgiveness, we have to reconcile, and we have to start from where we are in a smooth, harmonious way for the running of the entire, system. So yes, we need to reconcile also. And again, seeing the divinity in the other person helps to do that. So just don't see your spouse as your spouse. See that they are the divine beings, specially sent by God into your life, so that you may learn some lessons. And therefore, if you say to them silently, even without saying, if you say to them, I bow to the divinity in you and I send you my love. Just do that from your heart, and you will find that the situation at home will start to smoothen a little. Now, both of these situations, whether I have to ask for forgiveness or whether I have to give forgiveness, these are very difficult situations. But let us ask ourselves, are they the right things to do? The answer is yes, of course. And if it is the right thing to do, then however difficult it may feel in the beginning, if I take God's help and if I put in my effort, I will be able to come to a point where I can set myself free and where I can set the other person free. And this is freedom is important, because we let us remember that this is not the only life that we are living. And this is reminding me of a dream that Swami Kriyananda had, that he, in his dream, he saw that a friend was betraying him, and then he felt bad. But in his dream itself, he said, if I don't forgive this person right now, this karmic burden will carry on for lifetimes, and therefore I must forgive him. And in his dream itself, he actually forgave that person. And when he woke up, he felt a sense of freedom. So that much is the importance of forgiveness, because this is not the only life we are living, and we don't want karmic cross connections with the same people again, because eventually we want freedom in God. Of course, if we love people, we like to be in their company, that's fine. But even then, we have to solitarily go into the omnipresence of God, and that is our final destiny. So for that, we have to leave all bad feelings and bad relationships and conflicts here on this earth. Final few thoughts on forgiveness. Yogananda ji said that the mother forgives unconditionally, but the father forgives when the child repents. So if you are asking for forgiveness, then seek guidance and blessings from Mother Divine. She will help you to forgive yourself and to forgive others. And she anyway forgives unconditionally. And then he even says that it's not that I have never made a mistake in my life, but whenever I have made a mistake, Divine Mother has helped me to correct it in one way or the other. So to end the satsang, my dear friends, I will read just a few lines from the Mahabharata on the essence of forgiveness. And these are excerpts from the autobiography of a yogi. Forgiveness is virtue. Forgiveness is sacrifice. Forgiveness is the Vedas. Forgiveness is Shruti. Forgiveness protects the ascetic merit of the future. Forgiveness is asceticism. Forgiveness is holiness. And by forgiveness, the universe is held together. With those loving thoughts and blessings that we have received, we will share the power and the love with all souls everywhere. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls. Divine Mother, great Gurus, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.